because I really did all the high school musicals and everything I could help myself when I was back there. But I studied with two amazing coaches in LA. And I just think that your belief in yourself, your belief in the goal, and seeing yourself absolutely in a goal, it's huge. It's really huge. And then when that movie, The Secret, came out, I watched it. And back then you could only watch it on the internet. And when I watched it, I thought, my gosh, this is how I've lived my whole life, just not doubting. And so I really think that when we don't doubt ourselves or what we can do, which I now know to be absolutely true, because as a hypnotist, a stage hypnotist and hypnotherapist, I believe that more than ever. And I just think that if you have a goal and a dream, you have to be ready for the opportunity, be the best you can be, run your own race, but more than anything, believe in yourself. And I do think that there's a big difference. And be a fun person to be around, because if it comes down to something whether you're going to get hired, talent, talent does not outweigh the BS, because no one wants to work with you if you're difficult. So if there's two people and one person is better than the other one, but they come with a lot of baggage, they're going to go for the easier one. So I always tell people, be easy to work with, be pleasant and fun to work with. That's it. That's how I got to where I was going. Hard work.
It looks like Facebook kicked us out, but we're still recording live on YouTube. I don't know why they did that, but
I don't know.
So this has been a crazy year, and I know you had your share of craziness, including your bout with COVID-19 that you and Todd are just recovering from, or recovered from. Can you tell us? Can you tell us? Go ahead.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Can you tell us about getting through all the chaos?
Yes, I can. And it was really scary. I never left the house very rarely left the house for over a year. Wore masks if I did, followed guidelines, always social distanced, but it was very rare I left the house. I don't really need to. I didn't want to take any chances. But I had broken my shoulder last Christmas in 3 places. So I after I recovered from that, I had to go to physical therapy. And I think that's the only place I could have really picked it up, even though I was masked. But it doesn't really matter, because the truth is that I was afraid to get the vaccine. I have never been vaccinated in my life. I don't get flu vaccinations, and I was really afraid to do it. And I wanted to know more, and I wanted to wait, and I didn't leave the house or anything like that except to go to physical therapy. And so I think a lot of people feel that way. And I'm when I now I have the antibodies. When I'm going, you have it for, I think, you have them for 90 days, and then you go get tested again. And when the antibodies leave your body, which can take up to much more time, or maybe another, I don't know, it's really unknown. You just have to go get the antibody test, and I will then get the vaccination, because you can't get it when you're in the, because I have them I have the antibodies. So it's kind of, I get to feel like what inoculated people feel like, or vaccinated people, because you feel really much safer. You know what I mean? Like it's been a long time since I felt that way. So as soon as I'm able to get the vaccination, I will. And, I'm just saying that for not to, influence people, but to just simply say, why didn't I was scared. I do have a few things that I was worried about. Blood clots being, I was concerned about that. But when you go through COVID, you dance on the edge, as I call it. And we were both quite sick, but we didn't have the respiratory issues, so that was really good. But we had a lot of other things, and it is scary, and I don't want to ever go through that again if I can avoid it.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure if it's someone you know or just a fan, but Diana Goach.
Goach, yes,
Yes, says hi, and she can't get the vaccine either.
Oh, well, I will get it, but it's going to be not until I can, when the antibodies leave my body. I just think for me, I don't want to get like this again. I don't want to ever be. I was
That's
almost
what
a month, a month I was out.
Yeah, and some of the people, hopefully you don't, but some of the people even have long COVID where they keep having symptoms for
Yeah, no,
months
to be
and
honest
months.
with you, I'm really happy to report that I feel better than I ever have in my life, because I also lost 12 pounds in the process. My blood pressure went down. I have a lot of energy. But when you go through COVID, it's an interesting thing that happens. It's not just a physical thing. There's a mental thing that happens, and you get depressed and you get anxious, and it's almost like someone is taking over your mind and you can't stop thinking about certain things, and it's a real weird experience. But what it did for me, because there's always good in everything if you're willing to look for it, and what it did for me was it truly just brought into full focus, laser like focus, what's important to me, and the goodness of people. Because we had probably, I'm going to say, thousands of people praying for us, and it meant so much, because when you're sick like that and someone says, I'm going to pray for you, and they are, then you pray for yourself, and faith comes in and has to. But it's a rough ride, but it renewed my faith in humanity, and it also just made me realize what's important, and to chop off that isn't, to make time in life for what's important, and to be grateful beyond what you even imagine gratitude can be.
Yeah, I think this year had that kind of an effect on most of us, really.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah.
What interested you in hypnosis, and how did you get started with that?
Well, I actually learned hypnosis when I was about 18.
Really?
I was fascinated by Pat Collins, the hypnotist, who was the most famous hypnotist in the 60s and 70s. And she was incredible, just incredible. And her approach to hypnosis, even though she was famous for her shows, her dedication and her passion for it came from helping people. And so I always really loved that. And so I learned how to do that when I was probably 18 or so. But of course, my mind was already set, geared, and tuned in to the fact that I was going to be an actor, and that was my lifelong thing. So I just kind of put it to the side. And then I guess around 12 or 13 years ago, while I was still on One Life to Live, I decided to go ahead and take the best hypnosis school that I could do. And it was fantastic, and I loved it. And then I started to train with someone who taught me the stage part of it, because I didn't intend to do that. But one of the people that I studied with said, you're crazy if you don't take it into stage. You've been on a stage your entire life, and I think you'd be really great at that. So I did. And I haven't looked back, but I'm a mentalist as well, and I love that every bit as much.
So is stage hypnosis real? And yeah, just for the audience.
Oh yes, it's very real. It's incredibly real. And it's as real gets when I'm on a stage. And here's why: because I'm always looking for people. You bring it up 20, 25 people. All I want really is 8 or 10. So that gives me a lot of room to see if anyone's faking it, and I'm constantly monitoring them during the induction. And so, I can measure them in all kinds of ways by looking into their eyes, seeing if they look, glassy eyed, slightly red eyes, the flush on the face, the weight of the arm when I touch their hand and pick it up. There's so many ways that we test, as you know. And then I basically get rid of most of them, and I keep the ones that are the deepest. And I always tell the ones that go back to their seats that they're going to enjoy the show much more from out there because they're not deep enough. And so I really clean that up before the show starts because I really want great people that are hypnotized. Some people have a really hard time. And you're on a stage and you're looking out at the audience as not me, but the people on the stage, and they're not used to being on a stage. They're not used to being in front of 800 people or less or more. They're not used to it. So they're nervous and they can't concentrate. And so there's a number of reasons why people don't get hypnotized. It's about quieting your mind and being able to focus really on one thing, and that's what the hypnotist is saying. Now, a lot of people, think they don't understand hypnosis. They think it's like witchcraft or voodoo, and it's not. It's a science and it's an art, and it's an incredible tool for helping people to break, as you know, because you're a hypnotherapist, Kate, to break habits that don't serve them anymore, and for pain management and all kinds of things. Well, on a stage, it's just for fun and to make people understand the power of this magnificent God-given gift that we do have called a mind, and that we're more in control of it than, or we could be more in control of the thoughts that we have and our belief structures about, not being able to quit something. And we can help people. And I love that aspect of it. But for the entertainment aspect of it, it is just fascinating that you can take a really shy person and make an incredible performer out of them. And it's really fun to let people experience that. So it's funny. So I do both mentalism and hypnosis together.
So I saw that you call yourself a comedy hypnotist.
Hypnotist. Yeah.
So how do you incorporate comedy into it?
Well, my volunteers that are on stage, they really are the comedy part because I set them up in situations that are funny. And they absolutely believe they're in that situation, or they are that person, or that, they are someone really famous, or someone in the audience is somebody really famous. And so the situations are the comedy part of it. And it's just about knowing if someone is a talker, are they more physically active, so you're casting as you go along, because you kind of see, in the process of the induction, you kind of see who would be good at what, meaning that they're kind of built for that. And so that's where the comedy comes in. It's not that I'm hilariously funny, but I do know how to set up situations that make people laugh, and that's really where that comes from.
So what is a mentalist, and how did you? Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Mentalism is a really fun art. It's a cousin to magic, and it's my friend John Stetson calls it mind-to-mind communication. He's a great mentalist out there, and actually one of my mentors. So it's thought reading, and you also use all of the skills. People, you're reading facial muscles, you're reading body language, you're influencing, you're doing all kinds of things and trying to predict what the person on stage is going to do or influence what they're going to do. Therefore, you're able to read their thoughts and have fun with them. So it's mind games, and it's, again, another art that really shows the amazing power of the human mind.
Okay, so what was it like being Debbie Reynolds' daughter-in-law.
Awesome. She was an incredible woman. She was so strong and very willful and cared about people. And, she was just a force to be reckoned with. And so I really used to, when I moved to Las Vegas, I would see her face on a marquee because there's a hotel that she used to headline at. And I would think, I really have to see that show. I have got to see this show. And I really want to see Debbie Reynolds live, but I was always on the road because I do a lot of traveling, or I did, prior to the pandemic, I was on the road a lot because I would do about 120 shows a year. So I was never here when she was performing there. And I thought, gosh, I'm never going to get to see her if we're not both in the same city at the same time. And then I didn't know that one day she'd be my mother-in-law, and she was great. I was very close to her.
How long have you and Todd been married?
Well, we've been together for 11 years, and I think we're going on our 9th year of marriage. So it goes by so fast. Yeah, it goes by really fast.
So mother-in-laws are known for giving advice. So
Yes.
what is the best advice that you ever got from Debbie?
That is such an excellent question. Excellent question. The best advice I ever got from Debbie. So I would sit and, when I would go to her house, or she came to our house to stay, for, she would always be together. We were together a lot. And so I would sit at her bed, on the floor. She would be, in bed because she liked to spend a lot of time there when she wasn't on the road. She loved to just relax and watch TV and talk to people on the phone. So I would sit on the floor next to the bed, and I would ask her about life, and I would ask her about where she got her tremendous strength from. I also and courage. And I would ask her about Betty Davis and Marilyn Monroe and Howard Hughes. I was just in an endless fascination with what these people were like. And so she was great that way. But one day I said to her, how do you, after you get raked over by husband number one in the most humiliating way, husband number two, left you having to clean up an incredible financial disaster and coming back from that, plus the marriage was over, and then husband number three did the same thing, and you had to start over so many times. How have you survived all that? And she looked me in the face, and it was this simple answer, and she said, sometimes, dear, you just have to be a lion and face things. And that never left me because it's just true. We tend to try to bury things that upset us or make us have feelings that are uncomfortable. And that's natural. And so, instead of doing that, from that point on, if something scared me, I would just stop running because it was chasing me, that fear. And that's what happens when you run from fear. It's like, it chases you down until it gets its way with you, which means you're incapacitated by fear. So I'm a lion, and I face things, and I deal with it as it's happening, no matter how uncomfortable it is for myself or the other person or situation.
Great. Brilliant advice. Yes.
Yeah.
So, your television and stage career spanned nearly 40 years. What were your favorite TV shows to be on, and what were your favorite roles? And, why were they your favorites?
Well, that's kind of like asking somebody to pick a favorite child because, it's like every No, I didn't love every role I spent on daytime television, which was about 38 years of my life. But I also really loved playing in Les Mis, Fantine and Les Mis on Broadway. So I loved the experience of that happening because it was just it was beyond my expectations. I never dared to dream that. So it was something that just was I didn't expect it, but again, I focused on it. I was still on a soap opera when I did it, so I about killed myself because I worked all day, and then I would go to the theater and do 2 shows on a Wednesday, 2 shows on a Saturday, and then 1 show at 8 o'clock every night. And then the play was very long. Back then, we'd get out at 11:30. It was 3.5 hours, Les Mis, back then. It's no longer the case. And so I would get home and just be amped up from performing live, and then try to get to sleep so I could get up at 6 or 5:30 the next day to go to my day job. So, but it was worth it, and I loved that. Lindsay Rappaport was the role I played on One Life to Live, probably the best role of all my 38 years. But I love different shows for different reasons. But the characters, and I love being Stevie on Knight Rider, was really a great fun thing. And so I think about 13 years ago, I bought myself Kit, the car. And so I get to meet a lot of Knight Rider fans from all over the world at conventions and things like that. So each job brought me something special, I would say. I don't know if I have a favorite, but One Life to Live was definitely probably in pole position, I would say.
So Diana said Stevie was her favorite. So
it was a great show.
So, which do you really prefer? Do you like a live stage performance or being on camera?
Well, it's such a different experience, and I had spent my entire life on camera. I wasn't used to being in front of a stage audience, and so I didn't really realize that I had terrible stage fright because I was used to a camera being in my face or, moving around me. I didn't get nervous on the set, and it just never occurred to me that I had stage fright until I was a guest on Regis, and I think the first time was Regis and Kathy Lee, and then later Regis and Kelly. But I was waiting backstage, and the comic was warming up the audience, and I heard the audience, applaud, and all of a sudden, I was just getting ready to walk out when Regis announced my name. My knees were shaking. I got clammy, and I thought, what is happening here? And it was stage fright, and that's the first time I ever realized that I had it because there was a live audience out there. And if I look at those episodes where I was on, you really wouldn't know that I was terrified because I would just act as if I wasn't. But inside, I was absolutely phobic. I mean, I was just audience phobic. And so I knew that I was going to have to overcome that if I wanted to do Broadway or be on a stage. So I attacked that fear head on, and I started a 13-minute monologue at comedy clubs and things like that, just because everyone said it's the hardest, and it was. And I fell down, and I would fall down, and I did. But I also had great nights that it was just fantastic, and everything went as it should. And what I learned by doing that, which was so scary, was that I could be on a stage by myself or with other people. But if something happens, so what? It's not life or death. You know what I mean? Like I had to sit there and ask myself, what is the worst thing that can happen if you forget a line or something like that? And it was irrational, the fear. Because do you know your lines? Yes. Do you know your songs? Yes. Do you know where you're supposed to be at any given time during lines or singing? Yes. So it really comes down to trusting yourself to be okay and not look at it as life or death, and that there's a fine line between nervous and excited. So I chose to be excited, and I eventually worked that out. And it didn't take very long, but it was really good for me.
Yes, I totally understand that. That's why I'm doing my podcast, actually, was a huge fear of speaking. So.
Yeah, that's the number one phobia people have, is public speaking or getting up and speaking in front of an audience. That's the number one fear. So what does that tell you? That you're not alone. A lot of people feel that way, but like all fears, you can overcome things. It's just that someone has to show you that, and that's where we come in.
Yes, definitely. So,
yeah.
Why did you choose to live in Las Vegas after living for nearly 20 years in New York City?
Well, because when I got to New York City, I still had a lot of energy, and, the city kind of hums underneath you. It's a living entity, New York City. It's just fast and furious and exciting. But I really just one day thought, I don't know if I want to live here anymore. And, I don't know if I want to do this anymore. And, I felt changes coming in my life. And of course, that was scary and paralyzing until I took control of that, which we all can. Again, it's just someone to show us how to do that. And I came out here. My book, The 30-Day Heartbreak Cure, had come out, and I was going on a book signing tour. There were still bookstores at that time. I know there's so few of them left here. And my last signing was in Las Vegas, Nevada, which is where I am right now. And I'd been to Vegas probably hundreds of times before, because I love coming to Las Vegas to see shows and things like that. And I didn't even think people live here. I didn't even think of Las Vegas as that. I thought of it as the Strip and shows and casinos. And a friend of mine I hadn't seen in 15, 20 years came to my book signing. And he asked me if I was free after the signing, because he wanted to take me home to meet his wife and his family. So I said, absolutely, I want to go see your wife and family. So we drove about 10 minutes. We pull up in front of this beautiful house. I met his family, and New York City was so expensive. And this was 2009, so we had a bad crash in 2008, and real estate here had just fallen. And so I said, I love this house. This is like a dream house. He said, well, there's one like it not far from here. You should just check it out. And he told me about the difference in cost. So the next day I did check it out, and I bought it. I decided I was going to leave New York and situate myself here, because I love that I could have a beautiful house and lots of land, and, life would be easy because no snow. I live 10 minutes, 12 minutes from the airport, and I travel a lot for what I was planning to do. And so I don't know. It was a blind move. It was just kind of like, well, I'm just going to go for it. And it changed. Everyone thought I was completely crazy. I did have one person say, but there's no culture there. And there is. I mean, it's an amazing city. I love this city, and I love living here. And I'm 10 minutes away and a world away from the entertainment capital of the world. So, I found my happiness here. Had I not moved here, a lot of things wouldn't have happened. So, you kind of sometimes, I don't follow my heart, I follow my gut, because your heart will lie to you and your gut and fool you. And your gut is your intuition, of which I have a lot. So I just went, this is what I'm supposed to do. And I did it.
Sometimes you have to take those leaps.
Sometimes you have to look a lion right in the face and, and just get over your fears, right?
Definitely.
And take control of your life. Yeah.
So you started a cosmetics company about 20 years ago.
Mhm.
And what motivated you to do that, to start your company?
Well, I was on One Life to Live, and I had been there for a long time, and I did my own makeup always for the show. And so I had a certain technique that I used that I'd learned in all the shows prior to that. I don't really like to sit in a makeup chair for an hour, and after they're done with my hair, which I can do nothing with hair, I still can, as you can see right now. Um, so I would get out of the hair chair for 35 minutes. There was no way I could sit still in a makeup chair, so I just learned to do my own. But I was sitting in my dressing room and I was looking at all the different brands of makeup, and because I got my lipstick from here, I got my powder from here, I got my foundation from another company, and my eyeshadows and pencils, and I was just looking at all this stuff sitting on my table in my dressing room where I got ready for the show, and I thought, wow, I there's a lot of energy I put out to collect all these different things from different places and hunt them down. I was very particular. And then in my mind, I remember thinking, God, wouldn't it be great if I could just get everything in one place? This is great for lipsticks and powder and foundation and skincare and pencils and shadows and bronzers. And it was like back then you bought an album and songs on it were good, and that was it. Or you buy a CD and it was three good songs and that's it. You had 7 or 8 ones that you didn't care about. And that's how I felt about makeup. I felt if I could just perfect this, refine this, offer the best quality at the best price possible, and that it would look good on everybody, especially women over 40, because I was in my early 40s when I started it. And we just have special needs, our skin and color and all that sort of thing. So that's what it really inspired me, because I wanted to make something that would be easy and beautiful and make people feel great about themselves, and that nobody else did. You don't have to ferret through a lot of stuff. Anything you buy just about is going to look great on you.
Great.
Mhm.
So, Bordy Pets, how
Yeah.
did that happen, and what's
Well, I met
that
Todd
like?
Fisher. I met Todd about a year after I moved here. He was living on a ranch, and so I was introduced to farm animals, so chickens and ducks and turkeys and things like that. And I was a big city girl, never had I been around anything like that. But I love animals, and I always have. Um, so I fell in love with farm animals, and so I have them here, and I have a special place for them, and I've built them a little paradise, and I love them. And I have, between cats and dogs and chickens and um, turkeys and geese and ducks, I have 40, and I know them all by name.
Great. So, so this is a question I've been asking all of my guests for a while now.
Okay.
What has surprised you most about life so far?
Wow, that's a good question, Kate. You're a good question. You're a good interviewer, because you think of questions, some questions that are really deep. That's a deep one. So, what have I learned about life? Is that what it was?
No, it's what has surprised you most about
Surprised
life.
me how fast time goes by, because our parents spend our youth telling us that after 25 it just goes by like a rocket, and you don't believe it till you get there. That surprised me. Um, and how much we're all alike in some ways, not of course always or personality wise, but that our needs are very much alike, and in particular women are, which who I love, and how our needs are very much alike. And that's what made me want to start the company and write books about how to heal heartbreak and how to have a good day or a great day instead of just an okay day. And chose the healing arts of hypnosis, and and I'm a very faith-based girl, so I love to talk about that too. And surprise, I guess how fast life goes and how precious it is, and how we have to make every minute count. And and though I often think that you just have to, Carol Alt, who was a supermodel and a very good friend of mine, um, back in the 80s. Um, she once said to me, "Don't ever go somewhere you don't want to go, doing something with someone you don't want to be with, in a place you don't want to be." And that was about, I don't know, 84 or something like that, or maybe 87. She told me that, and it stuck with me. And so I try very hard not to do that. Learning how to say no is really important. Not spending time with people that are energy vampires or emotional vampires. Protect your peace, protect your joy. And, once you have it, do not give it away. And don't give away your power, your self esteem and all that sort of thing. So, it just really surprised me that how easy that is to do if you don't know what you're holding on to. So
Yeah.
I'm very grateful, very for my wisdom that I've learned in my years on this earth.
Yes, you got some good advice, but you picked the ones to follow, so that's always important.
Well, I can only speak from personal experience because, and also just that there's books out there to read. There's a handful of books that will just make everything crystal clear, like The Four Agreements by Manuel Ruiz. The Four Agreements is a book you could read in a day, but really read it because it is life changing. Joel Osteen wrote a book called Your Best Life Now. Fantastic, easy to read, not not dense. It's just right there in front of you. Dave Ramsey, Total Money Makeover, life changing. So if you know the books to read to inspire you, um, it's quite amazing how into focus everything comes rather quickly.
Yes. So we're getting close to the end of our time. If you could leave the listeners with one thought from today's show, what would you want that to be?
Well, we're just not taught a lot of things we need when we grow up and become adults and responsible for ourselves and others. And we're not taught, love in school, and we're taught that by our parents, and they're our example when we're little. And so many of us come from broken homes, don't have both parents in the house. Our example for what a love relationship is supposed to look like isn't there. So we stumble and fall through life until we get so many lessons that we're like, oh my gosh, I don't want to fall down anymore. Let me just look back and see my part in this, and it's just getting to know yourself and who you are. But the thing that I think that I just want to leave you with is that you are so special and created to do great things, no matter how great, big, or small that they are, and that everybody is important. You are important, and you were born really fully equipped. And you might have been told things about yourself when you were very young by adults and teachers or your doctors, or people don't realize that we are programming each other with our words all the time. So if you were small and you were told that you should be seen and not heard, or that your dreams were never going to happen, they were so crazy, and just we're told things by people, and as our subconscious mind just grabs all these little things and as fact, because the conscious mind is the judgmental mind, but the subconscious mind is the mind that just is very literal, and it doesn't know truth from lies, and it just doesn't judge. So your subconscious mind might have negative programming from the time that you were small, and so it nicks away at your confidence. So I'm just here to tell you that you are more powerful than you think you are. Your words are more powerful than you think they are, and you do have choices, and you do have control over your life. And so I mean, your bubble, your life in here, we cannot control anybody else or what they say or what they think, and it just doesn't matter. So just get to know who you are, love who you are, because you were born to succeed and to be happy. And so take that and understand that, which is why I always tell people to get the book, The Four Agreements, because it is the path to peace and happiness and joy in a very small book. So I would just encourage people to love themselves first. And then they can be there for other people and not be worn out by it, if that makes sense.
Definitely
Yeah.
some good advice, or what I call soul fire wisdom. So
I love it. Yep.
take that advice. So if people want to connect with you or find out more about your books, your show that you do, that you and Todd do, how can they connect?
Okay, so I'm on every Friday night on a solo show, Cat Live. It's on my Facebook page, Catherine Hickland. So just come over there and follow me and sign up for my lives, which means it's just you get a notification that I am live. I go on at 6:30 on Friday night, and we talk about the things that we're talking about right now, and I have some laughs, and we give things away, and it's just an incredible community of people. We have a really great reach there. And then on Saturday night on my same page, Catherine Hickland, it's my husband and I on this very set. So my show is from my office, so it's very intimate, and this show is from the theater that I have back here. I teach personal development courses here called Get Your Fire Back and other things. So right now we don't have internet in my office, but that's why I'm on the stage. So I could come today and be there. I'm going to be going on the road in July to El Paso County, Colorado. I'll be performing there for 8 or 9 days. I will post that on my Facebook page. You can also go to catherinehickland.com to find out. I haven't posted it yet, but I will be at the State Fair, West Virginia, performing for 11 days on the main stage there. So that's in Lewisburg, West Virginia, which is one of my favorite places on the planet. So I'll be there in August for 11 days. So, but you can catcosmetics.com, catcosmetics.com. You can reach me just about anywhere if you want to get in contact about any upcoming events.
Okay, sounds great. And if you forget any of that, you can go to the radio website. That's soulfireradio.com. Click on guests, and scroll down to Catherine's name, and her website will be listed. So at least you can connect with that and find out all the other info.
Right. So, all right. Well, this was fun. You asked me good questions, Kate. Thank you
for being here. And I have a quote for the audience, and I'm kind of curious. It's from another actress, and I'm kind of curious on your thoughts about it.
Okay, let's hear it.
So the quote is, "I'm curious about people. That's the essence of my acting. I'm interested in what it would be like to be you." And that was said by Meryl Streep.
And doesn't that just make sense, because she's the greatest, finest actress of our time right now, and I have met her, and she walks what she talks. She is incredibly humble, and she's kind to everybody, and I met her actually at Carrie. Well, Carrie Fisher was my sister-in-law, and at her memorial at her house that her daughter put together. Everybody was there, and Meryl Streep was one of the everybody. And I was in the kitchen, and we were running out of food because it just ended up to be so much bigger than they thought it was going to be. And Meryl Streep came in, and she was so kind to not just me, but every bit of help that was in that kitchen. And it made an impression on me because I meet a lot of people, and I'm not impressed by them all. I mean, they're good actors and everything, but I watch how people treat people when no one's looking. I kind of love to do that, but she is the greatest actress, and she can play anything. And so that quote does not surprise me at all. It makes perfect sense to why she's so good at what she does.
Great to know. So thank you again for being here. Actually, that is one of the reasons why I asked you on the show, aside from seeing how passionate you are, was when I saw your performance, your show, I saw how real you are. I mean, you're just very genuine.
Where did you see my show?
Pardon?
Where did you see my show?
I saw it on Facebook. I just followed it on.
Oh, I see. I thought you meant live. Yeah.
No, I haven't seen it live, but I'd like to. So
yeah, I do. I love people.
So we have another great show planned for next week. We're kind of staying on the stage performance theme again for next week. My guest will be Ti Amo Di Vittori. And Ti Amo is a musician and singer, guitarist, and he took his talent to the stage to teach other people how to use their talents and get over their fears. So we'll talk to him about that next week, 3 p.m. on Tuesday the 8th. So thank you again.
That's going to be a good show. That is going to be a good show. Yeah.
Yeah, I went to a seminar before I started this radio show, Fearless Speakers seminar, and that's where I met him. So thank you again, and I'm just going to say bye for now. Thank you to the audience.
Thank you.
For listening to Soul Fire Wisdom with Kate Olson. We hope you enjoyed the show. If we made you laugh, brightened your day, or sparked a new thought, we have succeeded in our mission. Join us next time when we'll share more secrets and truths and all the magic of transformation that is the journey to Soul Fire Wisdom. Always remember, be fierce in the pursuit of what sets your soul on fire.